It's a wonderful pleasure to be here today, and we're going to take a look at the future of trucks. And we see a lot of trucks on the stands today that are representing the present. What we're going to look at now is where we're going in the future. And I can take you through a little walk through the projects that we're working on right now in my company in Torino. I come from a company called ED Design in Torino, Italy, and it's a design engineering company, the largest company in Italy. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so like I said before, ED does design, engineering, and prototyping, and so we've made a lot of different projects. This is the latest creation we've done, and we just presented at the Geneva Auto Show this past March. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, let's start with a situation, the macro trends in the automotive industry, which means the IT industry, automotive industry are converging together. These two worlds are colliding basically because we're moving into the digital era. Digital era means that things are turning from mechanical world to a digital world, from atoms to bits, from Fiat to Google, okay? This is sort of the transformation we're happening. As you can see the big list, on one of the most important things on this list is on the far right side, on the top it says 1.2 million people die every year in car crashes on the streets. Truck crashes, car crashes, bus crashes, motorcycle crashes. Worldwide, 1.2 million deaths is not acceptable. We need to find a way of stop killing people with our vehicles that we are working on. We are all part of this mobility world. I'd like to find a way to stop that. And so the IT people are going to help us with that, putting digital into the system where we can start using technology to take away those accidents, first of all. Second of all, take away those deaths. Next one. Okay, so just think about it. Our generation will be responsible for the largest, most important transformation in the history of transportation. Since the late 1800s, we've been working on cars and trucks and buses and things, and now we're going to change all that in our generation. It's a big responsibility to try to find a way to make things different from the way we've always known them to be. And this change is going to be the autonomous, connected, sustainable, shared vehicle. Let's try to find a way to define all those things in this next few minutes. Okay, next one. The idea is to inspire the transportation industry by offering autonomous vehicles that we can send out and have others develop them more rapidly, in greater depth. So bring this thing to reality faster and use a maximum user appreciation. We're trying to find a way to, first of all, create these things. Second of all, find a way to have our customers like them and buy them and want them. Because we can create a wonderful, wonderful mousetrap, but no one buys it. It's perfectly useless. Okay, so the next one. Okay, my past experience in autonomous vehicles. In 1998, I did my first concept car called a Dialogos, a Lancia Dialogos. It was a very, very interesting concept car where you can see it had a vis-a-vis seating position. It was the first luxury car where you can actually talk to people, one another, inside the car. Next one. The Lancia Nea came shortly thereafter, was the first fully drivable one. The Dialogos was a static car, shows how things work inside, but this car you can actually drive. Hands-free driving. Here's a guy driving down the road in the year 2000. This is far before DARPA Challenge, far before Google, far before any other company started working on it. Lancia was a forerunner of all these companies, and then what they do? They just stopped. So since the year 2000, Fiat and Lancia have done absolutely nothing in this field. They considered this way too early to start working on them. So they just dropped the whole thing. Very, very unfortunate. But we were really, really forerunners in this field. I've been trying to push this since 1998. And you guys can imagine how difficult it was. Everybody slaps in the face. People said, well, why are you doing this? This is stupid. I love to drive my car. Why should I stop driving? So we're trying to find ways of, first of all, making the technology work, second of all, helping the public understand why we're doing this. See the next one? This is a more recent project. It's not an automobile, it's a helicopter, but it's the first full electric, fully autonomous helicopter with dual rotors on it. It rises up vertically, and the rotors turn 90 degrees, and it flies at 500 kilometers per hour, which is the first helicopter drone we built in my office. It was a 14-meter wide, and this is the first maiden flight that it made back in 2011. It just won the American Helicopter Society Grover Bell Innovation Award in 2014. Really fun project, trying to push back the boundaries of autonomous vehicles above all, but above also in helicopter technology for the future. Okay? Now, many of you have heard about the Google cars. You've seen the Google cars, talked about the Google cars. But as you see on the right, what we're looking at is sort of a geek car. Cars historically have been sexy objects, beautiful things, wonderful sheet metal shapes that people fall in love with. People talk to their cars, give their cars names. But a geek car is not something you can fall in love with. And so on the left, we have my latest creation, which is the Torque. On the right, we have the Google's latest creation. But they're trying to transform our attraction factor into white goods, into dishwashers. And I don't agree with this. We need to make sure our cars continue to have this attraction factor, to make sure they can continue to capture that love affair that people have with their cars. Next one. So we're going through a paradigm change. I'm trying to get my designers to change from designing objects to designing feelings, designing experiences. They say, well, boss, how do I design a sketch experience? They can't figure out how to do that. It's not an easy transformation. So we see on the left, you have exterior design, interior design, drawing sheet fenders and bodies and seats. Down below, we're trying to draw traffic, trying to draw onboard experiences. How can we create a more exciting onboard experience for these people going into these autonomous cars? Okay? So what are the objectives of this project? First of all, road safety. 0 accidents, 0 casualties, 0 insurance, 0 police, 0 traffic jams, 0 everything. We're trying to, not 0 wasted time, 0 road stress, trying to take away all those negative aspects we have on the road today. The second is individual empowerment, taking the human being and making him more power. This is augmented reality, trying to find a way to connect people with one another, create well-being, help people learn faster with new things. This is almost become transforming science fiction into science, because we can with new technology. Then finally, technology development, we're working with an open source architecture. That means taking our project and moving it out into the world so other people can start developing these things. I only have 2 hands. I can't develop things fast enough by myself. So we're giving these things out to other people. Today, many people are writing apps for these because they're available. Autonomous cars are not available. Therefore, people have a hard time writing code for autonomous vehicles. So we're trying to find a way to make these vehicles sexy with new technology. And technology tends to scare people away. So we can find a way to move into a new digital era with new types of technology that makes you feel good. Then we have an opportunity to experiment with new things, try it out. If people like it, we'll do more of it. If you don't like it, we'll stop and go a different direction. Okay? All right, this is the map we put together of the vehicles we're working on right now for the future. The 0 part is what I call Ambrojo. Ambrojo is a digital chauffeur. The face you see there, it comes from an ad back in the 90s in Italy. Ambrojo is like a James for the British guys. It's a nickname for chauffeur in Italy. And Ambrojo is the name of our operating system that will allow us to talk to their car. Ambrojo, you take me home. I'm tired. I don't want to go anyplace else. Just get me home as fast as possible, please. Or Ambrojo, I'm a little hungry. Can we find a hamburger someplace? He says, no problem. Take it right there. Imagine if each and every one of us had an Ambrogio, a driver, a chauffeur in our car. That chauffeur was a digital chauffeur, not a physical chauffeur. And he's going to start connecting to a cloud of information, bringing down things in real time, allowing us all to be empowered. So Ambrogio is the 0 point. We need to start with this Ambrogio first. Second one, number one, is the torque, what we showed at the Geneva Auto Show this year in March. The number two is the city car, which is transforming the race car ideas onto the street in a 4-passenger city car. The third one is your world. Big, heavy trucks. A heavy long-haul truck that's going to be completely autonomous, completely electric, and with no windows. And the final one is a robobike, an autonomous motorcycle, which needs to be all homogeneous with autonomous vehicles on the road. Okay, let's start with the first one, Ambrogio. Ambrogio with the lady, this is the countess in the back, saying, Ambrogio, I'd like to have something to eat, please. He said, pushes the button, and out comes something to eat. She says, oh, everything I need. So she's always asking him for something. He has all the right answers. The next one. So here's Ambrogio is an emotional machine. How can you understand the type of emotions that this woman, this countess, is coming out with, or this truck driver is coming out with? So this is a loop going around and around. So Ambrogio learns from the person he's talking to, and he also puts back into the system an emotional response. So trying to be as human as possible, even though this is a machine. So we use artificial intelligence. This is the AI project we're developing right now inside ED, trying to find ways of bringing out something that's going to be helpful and not something like Siri. How many of you use Siri out here? And it doesn't understand difficult questions. Ask her, Siri, why were we born? Don't understand. Please repeat the question. So we're trying to find an opportunity to develop an AI that will really be helpful while we're driving around the streets. Okay, next. Ambrogio is a virtual personal assistant. And here's some examples of virtual personal assistants in science fiction. The first one is HAL. Remember 2001 in A Space Odyssey? HAL was always talking to people, hey, Dave, show me your drawings. You're getting much better. Very nice drawings, Dave. So he's talking with his people, not to make the ship work, just to make the social activities work inside that ship. The second one is Jarvis in Iron Man. Jarvis is always helping out Tony Stark fly through the things and check on his fueling and his enemies and all the things. He's always back in the background. The third one is Samantha. Samantha's got a very, very sexy voice, but she has no physical presence in the movie Her. And Samantha is so powerful with her voice, she's able to make the guy fall in love with her, even though she has no physical presence. So these are examples of how this virtual personal assistant can work in our lives and become a normal part of our lives, and not some sort of a freaky sci-fi thing, but become something that can help us out. Okay, next one. Here's the Ambrogio timeline. As you see, from Ambrogio starting from 0 today, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the red line, which is manual driving, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So very soon, it'll be illegal to have a steering wheel in any car, on any road, any part in the world. Now think what it's going to mean for our clients when we're starting out there with big handles, with cars, with buses, with motorcycles. No more driving. Because all driving will be handled by Ambrogio. When Ambrogio comes out there and starts working, he will probably replace smartphones and personal computers, because he'll be talking with us and he'll take care of those needs we're using, usually we do on our computers. Okay? Next one. Ambrogio is an interface, basically an interface program. So I came up with 3 different types of interface. One is human-machine interface, which is what we all know is an interface. Another one, machine-machine interface with no humans involved. And the third one is a very bizarre one. We call it the human interface. Let's go through them one by one. Okay? Next one. Okay, the human-machine interface, we all know we need to push a button which says start, and the engine starts. Then we put it in the automatic transmission into drive, and those are all interface items. But with a new direction of interface, we're going to have empowered human beings that have much, much greater possibility of doing things because of technology. Digital technology is going to change the way we deal with things because there's much more information. The access we have to information is going to grow gradually. But the machine will also be more human-like, more emotional. So it's going to be an exchange of humanness in the machine and machine power in the human. So we're both going to be better off. It's a win-win situation. So the new generation of human-machine interface is going to greatly raise the bar in the way we deal with machines like cars and trucks and buses. Next one. Okay, this is the classical V2V. You can see all the cars talking to one another, like the movie, the Disney movie Cars, where the cars are talking to one another, and there's no humans involved in the movie. It's all cars talking to cars talking to light posts, V2I, V2X. So we need to find ways of having these things digitally connected. This is the Internet of Things, okay? This Internet of Things needs to use what we call swarm technology. In nature, fish have no problem with traffic jams. Birds and bees have no problem with traffic jams, but humans have giant problems with traffic jams. So we could use swarm technology that manages large numbers of species, whether they're fish or birds or bees or cars, going at 200 kilometers per hour down the road with 3 centimeters between each car. We have a greater throughput in our cities and not eliminate traffic jams in total safety. That's the way that we want to work with swarm technology. And the interesting thing about swarm technology is that they have no leaders. Imagine having all these cars with nobody telling them what to do. But one another, the totality of these cars together are helping everybody move smoother and faster with more safety, rather than having each one, oh, get out of my way, I'm gonna come through. No, you get out of my way. And people fighting and stuff in the cars. This needs to stop thanks to swarm technology. Okay? The last one is a very provocative one, and I think you all agree with it. Okay, here's Jane and John at a bar talking to one another. Hi, what's your name? Hi, I'm Jane. Well, your name? And so while Jane and John are talking, Jane's Ambrogio is talking to John's Ambrogio. Now it gets complicated. And Jane's Ambrogio says, hey, ask John to tell her about tennis, because she's good at tennis. Oh, thanks. So it comes over from Ambrogio down to John. John says, hey, Jane, do you play tennis at all? Oh, I'm a tennis teacher. Thank you for asking that. And so here is social transformations in bar solutions being somehow modified by Ambrogio. Now this could be an interesting concept that I decided to throw it in there because it sort of pokes people and say, maybe that's dangerous. It's not such a good thing at all. But I can imagine this happening. So each one of us had a little, like Peggy Leg Pete with a pirate on his shoulder. That guy's an asshole. Yeah, I know. I understand that. So here's giving suggestions to us while we're traveling around in the show around the world. So I'm convinced that Ambrogio will sometime leave the car and follow us into our homes, into our offices, into the park, and give us an added value somehow. So we're trying to find ways to make that somehow, define that, and put it into something that will not be a threat, but will be an assistance, a help for the future. Okay? So let's move that to the torque. The torque is the first one. Next one. The torque was presented at the Geneva Auto Show in March of this year. People are quite shocked because it's an autonomous race car. And people say, well, why would you want to make an autonomous race car? Because we like to see Lewis Hamilton fighting against Kiki Raikkonen for the speed and the power of the human being in there. And here's Ambrogio driving the car rather than Lewis Hamilton. But our proposal is leave the driver in. That's exactly what we want to do with the trucks. Leave the driver in. So we presented this thing, and I'll show you some videos of it. Next one. Just some photographs of it. This is some photographs taken at the Monza racetrack. Just go through quite quickly. Go through the Monza Formula 1 racetrack. This is to show you pictures of the car. As you can see, it's not a normal car. It's a very abnormal car. it has no windows. And it has 4 electric engines that are managed by, there's the car version with Lewis Hamilton driving, without the steering wheel. We have both. These are all the screens inside, which replace the outside windows. This is what you see in the screens, because you have a view of the outside world, but we also have information. Next one. So here's a maps painted on the road that we cannot do today because screens, glass is stupid and screens are intelligent. So we can put lots of information up there on the screens that we cannot do today with normal safety glass on our cars. Okay? Okay, so the car has 4 engines and a big battery pack. It should last about 7 laps at Le Mans. Okay, that's the duration of the battery pack. Next one. Here's the dimensions of it. It's about 1.1 meters tall, a little bit short, half as tall as I am, about 4 meters long and about 2 meters wide. That's the size of this car. It's a very low race car. Okay? What we're going to do is take these cars and send them around the world to tier 1 suppliers, to OEMs, to research institutes, universities, even IT companies, to have them all do research with these cars, a fully functional race car on the track with no driver, and have them do research on this. Okay? So let's move to the city car. The first application of this, trying to transform a race car into a city car, this would be the city car. Again, no windows. We don't need windows because we have screens inside. Next. Okay, here's what we see outside the car. Next. Open the window, open the doors up, and you see right through the car, and all of a sudden the exterior of the car disappears. We call this dematerialization because of all the screens inside. A floor-to-ceiling screen completely cancels out the exterior of the car, so you can see what's happening outside. But if you're driving through beautiful Alps like we did this morning, you'd love to see everything out there before. But if you're driving through the Bronx, you don't want to see it. The next one, you can see sharks. You can flip these images, whatever you want. If you prefer to see a sunset or in the morning or nighttime at noon, you can do whatever you want. Next one. So we're going to start changing the way we deal with visuals inside the car because these immersive videos become a big business opportunity with these new cars of the future. Next one. How about a mobile hotel room? Instead of taking a taxi from the airport to the hotel comes to you. Your hotel room picks you up at the airport and takes you around to your business offices, and it's always there. You always have your hotel room downstairs below your meeting room, wherever you're going for your business. This is trying to open up whole new opportunities for business with these autonomous vehicles. Okay? Now we get to the fun part. Finally, we went through this stuff. This is the first autonomous truck that's got a license for Nevada, okay? The Freightliner for the Daimler company did this brand new truck, and it finally got a license to drive it. So it's a wonderful opportunity to do hands-free driving in a real long-haul rig, okay? The Swedes are also doing lots of research in what we call platooning, which we're doing with Scania and Volvo, trying to draw lots of trucks together with one truck driving, the other one's connected to the other, like Lego style, okay? This is a map of how the evolution of trucks are going to go. The red line down below is what's in production. Today we have normal cars in production, but we have the hands-free driving concept, which is the Freightliner. Then we go to a hands-free driving production car, but the next step up will be full hands-free driving concept car. And on. So as we move higher and higher on the yellow line, the red line catches up. The final one in the upper right-hand corner is a human-less truck. I want to ask you about what you think about what would be like if we took the human out of trucks and sent them around the world without any human on. I believe we should leave the human in. It's a really good opportunity to discussion about this because how we could talk about this. Let's go a little bit further. Next one. Okay, also these trucks will also be replicated and sent around the world to different research institutes and universities so they can test the trucks using their experience to try to come up with new ideas and make this thing grow faster. And all the ideas come back into the database inside ED so we can connect these things all together. Okay? Here's some ideas that my designers put together for what it would look like if we had an autonomous truck with no windows in it. This is one idea. The next one. Here's some info pods. It could be another look for it. Next one. How about screens inside the truck? When a car has very small room to put screens in, a truck is an apartment on wheels. We can do a lot more things inside of a truck. Next one. Okay, look in the upper right-hand corner there. Here's a truck driver driving through Alabama, going coast to coast, helping his daughter with her homework. Now, what would that be like if you could have these guys or these women out there in the field going 24 hours a day, but also helping their family, spending time with their family. When a truck driver is out there for driving across Europe, they don't get a chance to spend with their family. So I'm convinced that screens can bring back the family inside that truck and allow these truck drivers to spend time with their wife, with their daughter, doing some sports, doing lots of different things, so we can enable these things, these people, with artificial reality. Next. Here's a new area. We can try to find ways of how we can create a new space inside this truck with a sleeping area, a virtual area, and a gym down below. Okay? This is what we talked about, the 100% human-free truck. A container gets dropped onto a truck bed, and away it goes. It goes onto a big platoon, maybe 10 of these, maybe 50 of these, maybe 100 of these, all lined up going down the street together. Is this a good thing? Who loads the trucks? Who unloads the trucks? Who takes care of these trucks? I don't know. I'm convinced that 3 million truck drivers in the United States, it's not a good idea to send them all on the unemployment line. I'd like to keep truck drivers inside the truck and not eliminate truck drivers. We need to transform truck drivers into businessmen and not allow them to just disappear and have robots take care of them. Okay, next one. Here's an interesting concept, this wonder wall. Here's a guy in Arizona talking to a man in South Africa. South Africa is just very close to Arizona. So the wonder wall can allow you to have a neighbor while you're traveling in the other side of the world. And this social community of truck drivers, I think, is already existing today. It started with CB many years ago. Now we're trying to get people at truck stops getting together. I think this could be a great opportunity to expand the community of truck drivers around the world, thanks to the fact we're using wonder walls inside the truck to connect with other people around the world. Next one. Here's a woman doing some gymnastics inside their truck using a nice, comfortable background. Next one. How about somebody doing some astrophysics inside the truck while they're traveling down the road? You can do whatever you imagine, playing or working while you're traveling. We can use these wonder walls to do lots and lots of things in the future. Next one. Here's a pod that is picked up at your apartment and brought onto the truck bed and taken away, so you never have a seamless connection between your living world and your working world. It's all part of the same system. Next. Here's another idea, some concepts for trucks of the future. Again, next. Okay, next. Truck drivers will soon be very bored. But as we saw in the WALL-E movie, we won't get them too bored and too complacent and too fat. We want to make sure these truck drivers have something to do. So what can they do if we take away the steering wheel? We want to make sure they have interesting things to do when we replace the steering wheel with something else. Next. How about a workout? We can sleep, we can study, we can do business meetings, we can play, we can connect with our friends, we can eat, or we can play, quote unquote, while we're driving down the road. So we're looking for new ways of changing activities truck drivers do inside that truck while they're traveling coast to coast. Okay? The last one on this presentation today is the motorcycle, hands-free motorcycle. Now, take a Harley Davidson. It's kind of hard to imagine that becoming an autonomous vehicle. But we want to try to find a way to make that happen. Next one. Using hands-free drive in a motorcycle doesn't sound like a really good idea. We have to find a new way of doing it. So how can we transform a motorcycle into a hands-free driving bike? Next one. The reason why is that 100% of automobiles, 100% of trucks are all on the road today with no steering wheels on them. We cannot allow motorcycles to driving in and out totally manual driving. So they also must connect with it. Okay? How about Tron? Tron was one of the first bikes with no steering on it. It was a hands-free driving bike. It's connected onto the handlebars, but it's not driving. So this is a new direction for the future of hands-free driving motorcycles. Okay? Right now, Yamaha, Honda, and BMW are all working together in a consortium to do these robo-bikes. We call them Motor Robot. And they have a robot on the bike, riding it, trying to teach the robot how to ride a bike with no human beings on it. So these are major players in the motorcycle industry working on these things. Okay? Here's another bike that you can kick it, push it over, and it's got gyroscoping, so it balances always. It stays always vertical, even when it stands still. Interesting concept, how to make things. This is Lit Motors. They're already for sale in San Francisco. Okay? Finally, this is a concept for the future. A police bike, a drone, if you will, a two-wheel drone, goes around arresting people or giving traffic tickets because they can go around and go through traffic without having to make the policeman on top worry about get thrown off the bike or things like that. Okay? I wanted to go through this quite quickly, but I hope you can appreciate the fact that we're looking down the street into the future, and I'd be very happy to answer any questions if we've got. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.